Hi everyone, and welcome to today's EP webinar on instruction using Discover and our course planner. First off, let me introduce myself. My name's Grace. I've been with EP for about 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was a teacher of maths and science. During my teaching time, I did use EP, and I really loved being able to identify each student's learning areas and learning needs and using EP to help them develop and maximize their potential. Over to you,
My name's
Ryan.
I'm here as well. Similar to Grace, I was a teacher, not for science and maths. I was a humanities-based teacher as well. We're going to be looking primarily today at using this for English and that kind of aspect. And similar to Grace, I think to me, the really big parts that I valued in my teaching was how the platform can help us understand our students better. And what we're going to be looking at today in particular are some of the new features. So I've been in EP since 2020, seen quite a lot of evolution, and this is one of the best additions that we've made that can really help you get set and get started. So that's what we're going to be diving into. Grace, I'll pass back to you.
Yeah, right, over to our differentiated learning cycle. This process, all teachers at some point in their teaching will touch on some elements of this differentiated learning cycle. Using EP, it ensures that all elements of this cycle are touched upon, from course planning to summative assessment. Today, we are going to be focusing on the instruction element of the learning process, covering the course planning, explicit instruction, and targeted instruction.
Awesome. Yes. So a wheel there just gives you a bit of an understanding of the different ways EP can be used. There's not the one way to utilize EP in your teaching. So what we're going to be touching on in this webinar and a couple of other webinars are some of the different ways that fit inside this diagram to help give you a sense of, from the very start to the finish of your students' learning with their time with you, where EP can fit inside of that space and how it could be a really effective tool for helping you to maximize each of the students' potential. So we'll jump on in and we'll take a look at the platform. So we're going to presume most people are fairly new into the platform itself. I'll just share the actual EP screen. Is that coming through there on your side, Grace?
Yep, sure is.
Okay, I'm just going to hide that bookmarks bar. There we go. Very good. Thanks for this little note there, Google Meet. Hopefully that's not showing up on your side, but this will be our page, and this is where we have our classes. Now, the school that we're inside at the moment is mapped to a few different curriculums. So when we jump in and start looking at some of the different pieces of content it has, it will reflect both the Australian curriculum and New South Wales curriculum. But of course, wherever you are is going to be what we are shaping the content for. Now, also, this is a demonstration school. There's a lot of fake classes in here. These might be some real named people, but they are by no means actually connected to this. So it's just a nice space for us to be able to share. What we're going to be looking at is around our Discover tab. We'll touch briefly on the library, but mostly with our Discover tab, which is fairly new. And what we're going to be aiming for or aiming to do is something a little bit like this. So when we jump on into any of our classes, we will see a course page. I'll pass back to Grace in a moment just so I can go and create a class. But a course page allows us to organize resources relevant inside of EP in this kind of order that's going to relate to either our scope and sequence or how we're going to be using the platform. And then it gives us a position to assign lessons or assessments from as we move through the year. Grace, do you want to talk a little bit more about courses? I'm just going to add a class for our webinar demonstration.
Absolutely. So the idea of the course is essentially a scope and sequence or a course planner. The beauty of our course planner is that one teacher can set it up as Ryan is doing now, and then it can be shared with all classes within that year level. It also has an added feature for next year. I know that's quite a way away, but it's really easy to duplicate that course planner from this year into next year, and off you go again. Within our course planner, once it's set up, you can assign various lessons and monitor students' progress and what you've assigned to students at any given time. It's real easy and accessible.
Yeah, spot on. And to Grace's point there, this course planner is really there for you as a teacher. to help get your ducks all in a row, so to speak, and to allow you to assign and keep track of where students are. The features that Grace was talking about there in terms of sharing this course is once we've got it completed, we can click and share to any of the classes in our name, and we can also connect it to any of the classes inside of the school as well. This makes it very easy, say, to set up a course for a Year 7 class and then share it, particularly in English. We're often dealing with multiple classes that are looking at the same content. It's a nice, easy way of sharing across that group and keeping everything organized together. And then the last point that Grace was touching on, the restore button here allows you to bring forward a course that might have been from a class last year if you set one up. So we've already got the forward planning in this here. So let's look at how we can dive in and start populating this. Grace, do we want to do it from the course page, or do you want to jump in from Discover? What's your preference?
Possibly the Discover.
Yeah, okay. So we can do it from either or. It all ends up in the same space, and we're looking at the same kind of tool itself. So if you're brand new to EP, the Discover tab is a way you can browse through our library of resources. We've organized things here based on our curriculum, our subject, and then our year groups. And that's when we can see our curriculum aligned organization of resources. Now, the school that we happen to be in happens to be inside the New South Wales space. But let's say you're in the Australian curriculum, or you are a school within New Zealand, a New Zealand curriculum. And as you can see, we've got some dates here because curriculums are always changing. EP always keeps up to date with any of these curriculum changes. As soon as they're available, we start to reorganize our libraries and make that something so that you can start utilizing that inside of your planning. We'll stick with English and literature here, which is what we're looking at, and we'll stick with stage 4, which for people outside of New South Wales will be students in Year 7 or Year 8. And that's where we can start building out our curriculum. To come on in to any of these topics, you'll be able to see our curriculum outcomes inside of a topic, as well as a description and the relevant resources. You can click into these smart lessons. And again, if you're new to EP, smart lesson is a collection of information and questions designed to guide a student through a learning process, but also translate to you as the teacher a lot of key insights. It works a lot like a formative assessment of their understanding from doing an activity. If this is something that you want to include in your course, just come up to add to class. You'll be able to select your class. Ours was down the bottom here. And we can drop that into any one of the terms that we would like. We could drop it into multiple terms if it's something which is skills-based. And this might be something that we will explore over the course of 2 to 3 terms. Again, this isn't assigning work to the students in that class so much as it's organizing that resource so it's there and available for you to work with. Grace, anything that I've missed in that kind of aspect?
No, the only reason I like to go in through Discover is because you can search. We have a search bar at the top. So you can search by the topic that you're looking at or even curriculum outcomes. So I find that really helpful.
There we go. So if we want to find something like Shakespeare, we can click on through and find the lesson itself. I think this is going to load through. Yeah, then we can dive straight into the lesson. And then we could also get to that by coming into stage 5. And that should be, oh no, it'll appear back this way. Here we go, stage 5. And we'll be able to find our Shakespeare content from inside of here, likely down here in some of our content studies. But again, we can start building this out, adding any content. One of the upsides to the way we've organized this is that we have word lists. If we have assessments that also make up part of this content, they'll all be grouped together around this topic. I'll drop this one in here. And then we do have a link. It might be hidden by our other window, but just going down here can quickly jump me through to this webinar class. Once content is here inside this space, we can click and drag to move it around. So if you do need to shuffle topics or move things along, you can. If you do need to remove a topic, click on the 3 dots that are here and go remove. And we can move it from this one. And then if we do need to add anything, when we go to add topic, this can be a very fast way of adding things in and staying in this kind of space. So we can add topic, very quickly populate for that term, and then add to another one. So there's a lot of different options to here. Once we are in this space though, and we're ready to set some activities for our students, we come on in and we can see we have some check marks against these lessons. I want to assign this one as a task. Again, we're looking at this from an instruction perspective. So we're wanting students to learn by doing. A massive upside to assigning from the course page is that when we select the option, we can already have our class selected, we have our date and time, and we have the content all selected and can hit assign. So it expedites this process of assigning it. You can spend a bit more time planning out upfront, and that will increase how quickly you can then go and assign. Of course, you can modify this task inside this work assignment. So if you've used the platform before and there's other parts you want to toy around with, you can edit each of those. But alternatively, if you are going through and repeating that pattern of assigning work as you go through your year, this makes it a lot faster to do that. Then when we do assign, we come back to our course page as a starting point. If we do want to review this activity, there's still a few different ways we can go about and do it. I love this addition of just being able to click on the view option here. You can see if I take my mouse off it that it notes that this is actually an active task. So when I start coming in here, I can see what have I assigned to students already, what's something that's been in the past, what's something that's currently active. It's a lot easier to keep track. And we'll click on in here, and we can come through and view the task itself. We missed anything there, Grace? I think that's probably about it.
Yeah, that's about it. I think the other thing I like from the course planner side is that if you've already taught a little bit of topic, you can quickly create a quiz to check for student understanding from that course page. So if you highlight, say, the top 3, you could turn it into a quiz by clicking the assign button and then making a quiz, and you can assign that to your students to check how they're going, find any gaps that you may need to address.
So we can come in and adjust the number of questions that are here. Let's say we just wanted to do this as a check-in. I'm going to make it a nice multiple of 3. We're now going to get 4 questions from each of those lessons. It is going to work as a nice sample of what's happening with the student learning and understanding. So we might jump into that a little bit more as we go through this webinar series. But for now, if you're brand new to EP, hopefully that is a great starting point for you. Jump on in, start building out your course that's there. If you do need support, reach out to our team, support@educationperfect.com, or come on down to the bottom left-hand corner inside the browser. We've got some help documentation. You can get in touch with our support team through a chat function as well, or you can book a call with one of your EP representatives like Grace, all right? Hopefully you get Grace. She's fantastic. And then you'll be able to get in touch and we can help you out.
Perfect. Thanks for your time, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Till next time. Bye.